Hello, welcome back to Smart Martial Arts, the YouTube channel where we go over everything martial arts. In this video, we're going to be talking about teaching. I've been teaching since probably since July of last year, so I'm not doing that math. In amount of years, amount of months, that's less than a year. So, I am going to be immediately talking about things outside of my experience, but I think it's still useful. This is just going to be 8 things that I came up with to keep in mind as you teach. But as I said, haven't been teaching for that long, so take it with a grain of salt. We're going to get right into it. The first one is you don't teach everyone the same. And the reason I say this is because everyone learns differently. People learn through actually doing it, through visual, and through, listening. So someone you might be able to show something, and others you might have to walk them through it and do it with them, or actually do it for them. If you teach everyone the same, then you might have some people be really good, and then other people behind, other people in the middle, and then you have a class where everyone's kind of mixed, and it's kind of a challenge to get everyone back to where they already are. The second one that I learned the hard way is keep control of your class. This one's important because you have to control your class. If you don't, then it's going to do whatever you want, and they're going to be talking, they're going to be just completely distracted. I made the mistake of going into teaching the first time when I first started, trying to be like the cool teacher, how everyone wanted to be like, oh, hey Ian, how's it going? But that kind of backfired when my instructor, and I guess another instructor doesn't really teach all that much anymore. We're just like, hey, you need to calm that down. They need to stop talking. It's too loud. Focus. So get your class under control. And I did that, and now my class is a little bit better, but I'm still trying to regain that while not trying to be a complete dick about it. So keep control of your class. Number 3 is teach how you want to teach. What that means is you go in, you start, and you see the instructor or instructors that you see, and then that's just how you learned, and that's just how you are like, oh, this is how they teach. And then when you go up to do it, and you start teaching, it may not be your teaching style, and it may not work for you. So you have to come up with your own way, but with that same thing, you can't ignore advice. Because my instructor's been teaching for 36 years, I've been teaching for less than 1. So if I was just like, no, I don't want to hear your advice, it's not true, then that'd just be a complete dick move of me, and it wouldn't make sense. So come up with your own teaching style, teach the way you want to, change things how you want to, but keep everything correct, but just explain it differently. But don't shy away from advice and don't not listen. And also, when you are not teaching, you're not teaching. There are times for you to be a student, and you need to focus on that. Because if you are never a student, you're never going to learn anything anymore, other than that's how to teach. And that's not fair to yourself. The 4th one is don't lie to your students. What this is, it's a very hard thing to do, especially when you are looked up to as the high-ranking instructor, is you have to know everything. You don't have to. The first thing, I think this is probably the most important one, is if you don't know something, say I don't know. Don't lie and say something wrong. And the reason I say that is because if you do lie and you get caught, what you might say for the rest of your time teaching, people might not believe it. And that's the worst, when you don't believe a teacher or believe whatever it is you're being taught, then there's no point in having a teacher and they're not going to be useful anymore. And kind of with that, you're going to lose respect for the people that you are in a class with. If you are a student now, people are like, oh, he lies all the time. Why would I bother with him? So don't lie. If you don't know, say you don't know. But with that, find out the answer. If you're like, I have no idea how to do this or how to do that or what I would do, but I will ask and I will find out, and I will tell you guys next time. And we can go over it, you can ask any questions, and do whatever it is you can to answer the question, but don't lie. The next one is kind of with everything that you do, you're going to make mistakes. One of my big things is I'm way too hard on myself, and I want to be where people who've been teaching for 15 plus years are. And that's not fair to myself. I have to make the mistakes to get where they are. And you're going to, it's with everything, but especially here, you're going to make mistakes. It's not the end of the world unless you royally screw up. And if you do, then maybe it's not the right time for you to teach. Or maybe you shouldn't teach, whatever it is. But you're going to make mistakes. Just kind of the same thing with don't lie. If you make a mistake, be like, oh hey, I messed up, let's restart that, that's not right. Or if you just kind of forget something, just laugh it off. We have things that we call intersections, where our forms will lead into other forms, where there might be a move that is similar or the same in one form and then another, where you're doing one form and then you switch completely to a different one. That happens all the time. Or you might forget a move, you might confuse it with something else. Just be like, hey, I messed up, laugh it off, and then hopefully your students will be okay with it. Next is check your ego at the door. It's kind of similar to one that's next, so I'm going to combine. Check your ego, and you're not teaching for yourself. If you go there and like, oh, this is so cool, I'm teaching, I'm really cool, look at me, I have a patch on, they call me this, stop doing that. That's not a good thing to have. You are there to teach your students. And in order for them to respect you, you have to respect them. It's a two-way street. So if you go there for yourself, they're not going to get anything, only you are. And that's not fair to them, and it's not fair to yourself, and it's not fair to your school, or your style, or whatever it may be. The last one is a quote, and it kind of has a little tiny story behind it. After a class one day at college, I was talking to one of my professors, and he told me a story of how the person who was before him, his predecessor, was there teaching the same class for 36 years. And when he was retiring, one of his students walked up to him and said, hey, a bunch of other stuff, but then the ending of it was, you forget what it's like to not know. And I heard that and I loved it immediately. The reason I like it so much is because it's true. If you do something for 36 years, 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, you're going to know what it is, you're going to know how to do it. At least you should. And if you're teaching and you know it, why is it fair to a student who is just learning it or is their first time seeing it? Why is it fair for you to get mad at them? It's not. So you have to kind of be like, oh hey, I remember what it's like when I was learning this. It's a hard thing to learn. Now it's not to say that you can never get mad at them. And you shouldn't get mad. You should get maybe a little bit irritated. And the reason for that is if you show them something like a very simple form or whatever it is that you're teaching, and you've done it for so long, and they just don't get it because they don't practice or they're not getting it, then you can be like, hey, what's going on? Are you not practicing? Am I not doing this right? What's going on? And then you go from there. But the first time you show someone something, don't be like, oh, hey, you're dumb, or whatever. Just don't get mad that they can't follow along. They've never done it. It's not fair to them to do that. And then if you make a habit of that, no one's going to want to learn from you. It's just kind of a thing of you lose respect because you're treating them like shit. So I think that's all that I have. That's all 8. If you have anything that you didn't like or that you wanted to add, leave that in the comments. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.